Warriors for Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets. All right, secondly, Brooklyn had to beat a good team. They got a nice record, 10-5. They look pretty good, but they've been beaten up on a bunch of bad teams. They're 2-4 now. They were 2-3 entering last night's game against teams above 500. So they had to show that they could beat a good team. And finally, they've got two superstars in their prime, two top 10 players. Golden State, of course, only has one. So Brooklyn should have put it on them. And instead, Golden State comes out and not only beats them, but smokes them. We know the offense, Nick, is spectacular, but the defense is number one in the league right now. Draymond Green did a job on Kevin Durant, holding him under 22 points for the first time this season. And Jenna mentioned, Nick, the MVP chance. I don't know this for a fact, but it would be hard for me to believe that something like that has ever happened in LeBron's house, in Steph's house,
facts,
in Giannis's house, heck, in Nikola Jokic's house. Okay? That was so disrespectful. And I don't think the fans meant it like, oh, we don't like KD. But in reality, it shows he has not captured that fan base. When it's not only they MVP chance for another player, but your former teammate. So it was an all-out bad night for Brooklyn and a great night, Nick, for the Warriors.
Everything you said is correct. And the MVP chance, we can start there and then expand. A couple weeks ago, I sent out a screenshot of Nets tickets on StubHub. And people criticized me like I was shaming the Nets for having cheap seats because you could get in the building for $7. But those seats weren't being sold by the Nets. They were the secondary market. It was the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant and James Harden. You get in the building for less than a mochaccino, and I thought that was noteworthy. When right across the bridge, you can't get into MSG any night of the week. Hey, there's Jalen Ramsey. Any night of the week for under, that was actually Beckham. You can't get into MSG any night of the week for under $75. You said he hasn't captured the fan base. Because there isn't one. I was at every single Nets home playoff game last year. It has the atmosphere of a somewhat big regular season game, and that was up until Game 7 against Giannis. Game 5, when KD was going off, it had a different feel to it, but that was really because the crowd understood we were watching one of the greatest performances ever. Now on Kevin Durant. He has been the best player in basketball this year, which is why that was such an awful time for his first bad game. Fewest shots made, second fewest rebounds, third fewest assists. He's only been held under 50% twice this year, never under 44. Last night he was under 33% from the field. 0 made shots in the second half. Nash gave up in the fourth. They didn't even play him in the fourth. 0 for 8 in the third, 19 points. Just a miserable game for a guy who spent the afternoon ostensibly, if you go to his Twitter likes, just liking random people who were arguing with Dieter Kurtenbaugh about the Warriors winning the KD-Steph divorce. This is national television against your former team. And by the way, for Harden, the reason Harden doesn't have a championship is because the Warriors kept kicking him in the head. And they get walked all over. And then the MVP chance wilds are just the salt in the wound. Because Broussard is absolutely right. Since Giannis has been an MVP caliber performer, maybe, I don't know what happened his second year. Maybe LeBron came and the Milwaukee fans chanted MVP, but that's not what we're talking about. Guys, once they ascend to MVP level, the only other players who get MVP chance in their building are those guys' teammates when they're trying to be nice. Like Anthony Davis might occasionally get one in Staples. Dwayne Wade got him, obviously, But it's not the opposing team. Right. And I think it is just a regular season game, kind of. Because Nash, after the game, they're like, hey, how come you've lost to the good teams? You lost Chicago, Golden State, Miami, Milwaukee. And he said, we're not in their class yet. Yeah, and I don't know if you're getting there. Blake Griffin looks cooked. Harden's not a top 10 player at the moment, hasn't been all year. And KD is allowed to have an off night, but as great as KD's been, they've been good but not great. So, yeah, I think the Nets are in real trouble, Wilds.
All right, so I agree with you 100%. And here's the thing about the Warriors, Broussard. Try this theory on for size. What was the hallmark of the Warriors dynasty? It was a fun team. And Steve Kerr came out and said, you know what we're going to do? Play with joy. And Kevin Durant went there, and it's like, I like playing basketball this way. The ball is moving. It was beautiful. It was beautiful basketball, and there was a joyfulness to how they played. I think that's out the window now. Or at least I think it's joy plus viciousness. And it goes back to something Candace Parker put on everybody's radar. It was Warriors-Hawks, and Candace Parker predicted exactly that Steph was going to have 50 to show Trae Young, the young Steph, you're not ready. And Steph went out and dropped 50. Candace Parker, the best sports take of the year. Then, here come the Bulls. The Bulls was like an upstart team. Steph dropped 40. And last night, Steph had 37. He got the MVP chance. And then the crowd was like imploring him to shoot. In the fourth quarter, the game is out of hand. Harden and KD are on the bench. And Steph passes up a three. And the crowd's like, oh. Then they're cheering for a shot that was after the buzzer. They're cheering Steph. So the question I have for you is this, Broussard. Why was Steph in the game? Why did Steve Kerr leave Steph in the game? Game was over. Steve Nash pulled his guy. I think it's because this new look Warriors have got a little bit of get back in them. Clay got hurt. KD hurt his Achilles. Then we won 15 games. We were a laughingstock. Last year we had the play-in game. We lost to the Grizzlies. We lost to the Lakers. We were out. No one thinks we're a champion. Everybody thinks the Nets. Now it's going to be a little bit of viciousness. So I think this new Warriors team is the same joy of the dynasty, the ball moving around, with an added dose of vicious Steph that we hadn't seen before. A little bit of Michael Jordan. I took that personal.
No, I think that's a good take and a smart take, Wilds. And Kerr knew what he was doing. He was hammering in the nails against the Nets.
Yep.
He was sending him a message. This is how much better we are than you, with a smile on his face.
Right.
And the bigger question is, why in the world were Durant and Harden out? First of all, I'm not giving up that soon.
They waved the white flag.
All right? I keep them in the game. I'm trying to win. Secondly, even if it's over, I'm so upset if I'm Steve Nash that I'm leaving you out there. I don't care if we're down 35 points. I'm leaving you out there. Just suck it up, deal with it, hate this feeling so that it doesn't happen again. And I got to say this. I am so disappointed in James Harden, Nick. So disappointed in James Harden.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying he doesn't return. All right, I know you believe it's the free throws, the refs calling it differently. I think there's some truth to that for sure, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that it's not just an excuse. In a couple of weeks, it's going to be a full-blown excuse that, I had to, I rehabbed all summer, I wasn't ready, didn't get to play. I'm giving you a little more time on that, Harden, but this James Harden will not cut it for the Nets. They need the old James Harden to have a chance to win it.
To have any chance. I thought this was one of the best opening blocks we've ever done for a show. I agree with almost everything Wild said, with one exception. Candace Parker is brilliant, but the sports take of the year is Mahomes turned his season around with the one pass. Just for the record.
God.
That's the sports take of the year.
You just ruined
just for the record. It's the sports prediction of the year. Jenna.